Now, if you're looking to get into contracting, just know that there are some friends who may treat you differently. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be all of your friends and all that kind of stuff there, but what I am saying is there may be a small minority of people who may start acting a bit funny. That funniness is dependent. It could be jealousy. It could be surprise. It could be, oh, I don't know how to be with this person anymore, because it is different to the norm. Now, of course, the reason I'm explaining this stuff to you is because if you're looking to transition into the space, you need to be prepared for what potentially may happen. And of course, if I speak to some of you, you may already think, yeah, this person is probably going to act this way, or it may be completely new to you. The point being made is just look out for some of these signs. And the reality is, if I'm giving these people grace, they're just not educated in this space. They're just not educated. And so with that lack of education comes their ignorance, so to speak. Now, if we move this on smoothly, initially they think you're a Pinocchio. What do I mean by this? If you start talking about how much you make and all of this kind of stuff there, they don't believe you. It goes footballers, then maybe entrepreneurs, and then contractors, and then everyone else, okay? So there are still levels to go. But the point being made is that they don't necessarily agree or believe you when you start saying you make $950 a day, $600 a day, even $450 a day, whatever it may be, because it's unheard of. It's not something that people naturally do. And why is this the case? Well, really and truly, if you look at their lifestyle, if you look at what they're doing, they're not necessarily making that money. Now, of course, by making that money, you are creating an element of risk. You are. And that risk lies in the fact that you're not getting this idea of permanency. Permanency in a state of benefits or pension or some sort of rhythm to your payments, because obviously they're just not going to let you go unless you haven't passed their probation or something happens to the company, like a merger, an acquisition, or whatever it may be. But the point I'm making is that is an idea. And the whole point of me doing these videos is to remove you from that idea. It doesn't truly exist. It exists only in the fact that people rely on that system. And I know that's enough for people to believe in that. But there are other ways people make money. You watch these people every day, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, you read their stuff on Twitter, whether it's watching YouTube videos. It's all a lie. Now, it's only as true as much as you want it to be true based on your goals. I'm not saying it's like completely fake. Of course, things are real. This table is real that I'm knocking. Obviously I'm a real person, so to speak. We're not getting into a philosophical debate. But what I'm saying is you can condition your mind to look at things from a different perspective. And unfortunately, these people don't sit in this space. Now, there was a study done, I think this was published in the Psychological Sciences journal back in 2009, that showed that when people spoke about their goals more, they were more likely to be less successful. And this is mainly because of the fact that they had already told themselves, neurologically, so to speak, and psychologically, that they have achieved that goal. That's what it is. So that can work in your favor and not in your favor if you don't have the right conditioning. When you think of athletes, so to speak, they usually visualize themselves winning. But for the average person, if they thought they've won or they've expressed that, their muscular tone, their body language, everything commits to that fact that they've already achieved it. So the point I'm making is don't always tell everyone what you're doing. Don't tell everyone what you're making, because it doesn't always work to your favor, so to speak. And in this instance, it's keeping quiet about the fact that you make X amount of money. I mean, depending on your relationships, you may not have necessarily said that before. And why are you saying it anyway in the first place? Is this ego now taking a seat at the table? You have to ask yourself that question. No one really needs to know, okay? No one really needs to know, so to speak. So really the next thing to talk about is, let's say, for example, they know and, you told them you wanted to get into contracting and then you were successful and all that kind of stuff there. They then start to realize that things are starting to change, okay? And they're a bit confused by this fact because you were this person with, this situation where you're in some dead job and your manager was toxic and, You just didn't really talk that much. And now you're in a thriving career, albeit, you would probably have to jump from contract to contract. Things have changed. You've got more of a spring in your step. And with this individual, they may be like, wow, like genuinely shocked, or they may say stuff like, I knew you could do it when they clearly didn't say that before. Okay. Or there may just be radio silence. The point I'm making is that there's a shift in energy that doesn't align to their sense of authenticity. That's what ends up happening. But really that is bound by confusion because they know socially they have to respond. But the reality is their body language and the energy, which is really the micro things that we pick up, whether we observe those things in terms of how we communicate it or not, is essentially saying that I'm confused. I don't know what to think. All of this kind of stuff there. So you have to be in a state where you remain as humble as possible. And I say this because anything could happen in this game. I've spoke about the 5 pains of contracting. I spoke about the dark side of contracting. Go and watch those videos. Anything can happen in this game. But it's about being humble and savvy and making sure that you connect with people, apply for roles, make sure that you create enough value within the space so that they extend you. I believe that's how I stay in places. If I didn't quit the last contract I was in the other organization, I would have still been there probably, or my contract would have ended maybe 1 or 2 months ago, so to speak. Truly believe that because people are still there from that time. I just decided to put my foot down. The same thing could happen here, but again, I need to be humble. Anything could happen. I just know I'm just going to provide as much value as possible. So we've spoken about the fact that they think you're a Pinocchio, a Pinocchio basically. So, and then we've spoken about the fact that, they start to believe in you. The next stage, this is the third stage, is they think you're mega rich. They think you're making money, like mullah, like serious cash monies, And yeah, you're making more money. You're probably making double what you were making before. In some instances, if you've been able to level up really quickly, it could be close to triple. It just depends on the industry, your skill development, how you've been able to climb the ladder. Because you can climb the ladder in contracting. There's a way to do it. That's probably a video idea, actually. I'll probably think of something around that. But anyway, the point I'm making is that they think you're mad rich. And it's not because you're telling them you're mad rich, even though you may have told them your day rate or whatever it may be, because they haven't quite worked out the tax whether you're inside or outside of IR35. But that's irrespective of the point. They see that you've paid off your debts, or they see that you've been able to afford big events for your birthday or your wedding or for your baby's, baby shower or, some sort of anniversary thing. Or they see that you're going out more and, you've got a little spring to your step and you got certain, swagger. There's all of these things that they start to see. They may see none of this stuff because maybe you don't allow lifestyle creep, or I believe it's called Parkinsons Law, to creep in. Okay. And so they start to see this stuff and they don't like it. And the way they respond to this is by not partaking in certain activities or endeavors, or wanting you to be the person you were before, even though nothing has truly changed apart from your money and lifestyle, so to speak. And you could see that objectively, potentially. Or they're just not happy because they start thinking about themselves. And they start thinking about how can I level up? Which is perfectly normal. And all of this energy could be avoided if, again, there's some education around this space. This is why I do the videos I do, not purely because of this scenario, but because the country, or even globally, requires education around this contracting space. It is very normal for people to make the 450s a day, the 600s a day, the 950s a day. If you're a director, you could be making anywhere between 1 to 2.5 grand a day, depending on where you're at. People are making crazy money, and some people are like, that's extortionate. Yeah, but there's the whole balance of risk and everything else, which, again, that might be another video, so to speak. Maybe it's the risks of contracting, so to speak. And so That's it, really. You need to think to yourself, okay, if I'm transitioning into the space, how am I going to play? You don't want to be like, have a secret identity, whatever, but you don't need to tell them your rate. You know, you may just tell them that you're freelancing. You may tell them that, okay, you're in this industry. Some friends don't even know what you're doing. Some people realize much later on. It's unless you say I'm contracting now. That's when people are like, oh, okay. Because some people have some idea, but they don't fully know. So all I can say to you is, number one, don't tell people your rate. Number two, always provide value in the spaces that you're working, because that's going to be important for you to get the next role. And number three, remain humble. It's really key for you to remain humble. Otherwise, all of this is a waste of time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos tailored around portfolio careers, positive psychology, and just life management in general, feel free to hit me up. Let me know. Leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see. I really appreciate all the support, and comments and everything else that people have provided so far. Take care, God bless, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.